Today we're talking about how to overcome feelings of guilt and shame. I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad you clicked on this. Keep watching. I think you're going to learn something really important. In this video, I'm diving into guilt and shame and what they actually mean. Then I'll cover why you feel them so often. And finally, I'll tell you how to overcome feelings of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame can really do a number on you, can't they? A lot of people struggle with them for a lot of different reasons. You might be a mom who feels guilty at just the thought of taking a little time for yourself. You might have a weight problem and you're ashamed of yourself and how you look or how many times you have lost and gained the same weight. There are a lot of reasons you might feel guilt or shame. Here are just a few. It could be that you did something you're not proud of or just didn't want to do. It could be that you aren't being true to yourself and part of you knows it. Guilt and shame are really common reactions when you really care about doing something right and feel like you failed at it. Other people can also be involved with guilt and shame. Maybe you hurt someone else, even accidentally. Maybe someone made fun of you or said something that hurt your feelings. Maybe you didn't do what someone else wanted to do and they got mad at you or acted disappointed. It could be that someone did something horrible to you and you think it's because you must have deserved it. And sometimes other people use guilt and shame on you to try to get what they want or because they're really actually unhappy and don't know how else to handle their own misery. Whatever the exact cause of your guilt and shame, here's what you can do to understand why you're feeling it. All right, first, write down the last time you felt guilty or ashamed. What happened right before you felt that way? What happened during? What happened after? Writing down exactly what happened gets the information out of your head and right there in front of you. And I'm talking about using an old school pen and paper. Go old school here. There are actually studies that show that neural pathways are built when you put pen to paper and you write things down. So I would not do it on your phone or your computer. I would do old school with a pen and paper. Now that you can see what triggered the guilt and shame, I want you to start asking yourself why, like a curious little kid. Why did I feel guilty or ashamed when this happened? When you answer that question, ask yourself why again and again and again. Keep asking yourself why. It's important to really dive deep here because that's how you get to the real reason and you shine a light on it. What you'll probably find is gonna shock you. It probably won't be what you expect. And you know what? That's okay. That's the point. Now that you can see what's going on with the guilt and shame that you're feeling, here's how to make it stop. But before we talk about that, I want to hear from you. What are you dealing with when it comes to guilt and shame? What's going on with you? Is this something you battle all the time? I love when you pour your heart out to me because I pour my heart out to you. Put it in the comments section. This is a great way for me to get to know you better. First, take a look at the beliefs you have. Ask yourself, are they facts or are they just stories you're choosing to believe? For example, let's say you realize you feel guilty for wanting a little time for yourself instead of doing everything everyone else wants. And let's say the deep, raw why is because your parents told you that you had to give to others and that it was selfish and made you a bad person if you ever put yourself first. Is it a provable fact that putting yourself first is automatically gonna make you a bad person? Or is this just a story you tell yourself based on what your parents drilled into you about what they believe? We become the stories we tell ourselves. So if you're feeling a lot of guilt and shame, it's because you're telling yourself stories that make you feel those. Change your stories and you will, with practice, change how you feel. Another way to stop the guilt and shame comes down to one word: forgiveness. Listen, you're not perfect because no one is. I'm certainly not perfect. I mess up and say the wrong things all the time. We all do. So beating yourself up with guilt and shame changes nothing. All it does is make you feel like crap all the time. And I'm not telling you to shut off your emotions or your ability to feel compassion. What I'm saying is forgive yourself for being a human being, doing the best you can with where you are. That goes a long way. So having guilt and shame is not something that I battle with anymore. Like having that in my mind all the time, just beating me up. I don't battle that anymore. I have had some awful things that that have both happened to me and things that I cause. I mean, really, ultimately, everything's your fault if you think about that. It always comes back around to you. I don't like the victim. You guys know I don't like the victim. But there were some things that happened to me that I didn't cause, I didn't ask for, and that weren't really my doing. And so before I really felt shameful about that, I've been married multiple times just because I have a really, really super awesome dad that I thought my parents had this fairy tale marriage growing up, and I thought all marriages were like that, and I tried to find a guy that was just like my dad, and because I didn't understand how marriages really work. And so I have dealt with, in the past, some real guilty feelings about being married over and over and looking for that guy. And then it just, and I just felt so ashamed. And I was like, oh, Cristy, why did you constantly keep doing this over and over? So I do know that, but I got past it. I don't deal with the guilt and shame anymore. Because why? Because I'm 45 years old now. And if the average person lives to 86, then I have lived, I'm going to live to be a really super old, by the way, but I have lived over half my life. So why would I waste more time with that bull crap? Why would I waste more time, waste the brain space? I have very limited brain space anyway. I'm trying to run Code Red. I'm trying to be a good wife and a good pet parent. And I don't have the brain space for guilt and shame. So I let all that crap go. But believe me when I tell you, I had quite a bit of it. And I battled with it for a long time. But finally, I was just like, what in the heck good is this bullcrap doing in my head? Get rid of it, move on, stop. And sometimes the thoughts creep back up and I just get embarrassed, like, oh, what was I thinking? But the reality is that everybody has pulled that in their life. That kind of crap. I mean, we all have crap we could say. I mean, what is the old saying? If you throw your problems in a circle, if everybody throws their problems in a circle, everybody would reach back in and grab their problems right back out. So we've all been there, and I don't have anything to be embarrassed about. I'm moving on now, and I'm not going to waste any more brain space over it. Finally, you can also stop the guilt and shame by doing something good for you, something that you can be proud of. I mean, that's what I help my clients do on the Code Red lifestyle. That's my jam. That's what I do. And it starts with treating your body with kindness and respect by giving it real food, water, and sleep. That's what we focus on the Code Red lifestyle. That's what we do. If that's something that maybe you want to explore, start with the 10-pound takedown. That is the best place to start because you can lose at least 10 pounds in 30 days without shakes, pills, diet foods, or exercise. And our Code Red community is a private network. It's off all social media because social media is bullcrap, all right? In our private network, there's no ads, there's no algorithm, there's no drama, there's no censorship. It's just like-minded people, just like you, who are trying to live their life and trying to become their best self. So I've linked it up below. Join the Code Red lifestyle, and I'll see you on the next video. Today we're talking about how to overcome feelings of guilt and shame. Shoot, that was good. Darn it. Come on, we're almost done. Just keep up with me. There is actually studies that prove it, that neural pathways. It skipped and I don't see where I went here. Hold on a minute. Oh, okay, there it is. Doing the best we can with let's see here. And if that's something that maybe you want to explore, no?